Patriots Day is directed by Peter Berg and stars Mark Wahlberg, John Goodman, and J.K. Simmons. The film takes place before, during, and after the events of the 2013 Boston bombing and follows Mark Wahlberg's police officer character along with many others as they attempt to track down the bombers. This movie is really interesting to me because I was born in 1997, so I was around for the September 11th, but I don't really remember. Whereas with the Boston bombing, I watched it on TV. I was in 10th grade, and I remember exactly what I was doing. I was watching Gremlins 2 on TV, and then it cut in, and it just, all the stuff you heard about afterward, and just, so when I saw the trailer for this movie, I was really interested to see, because this is the first time that I would be seeing a movie based on an event that I watched unfold in real time. I'm just going to cut straight to it. This movie is amazing. Not just the acting, which is just stellar from the cast, not just the directing, but just the story is just, for the time we're living in right now, it is such a great story because of what it shows. It shows the strength of humanity, that even when people try to screw with peace and they try to bring out the worst in us, that people just have this innate ability to just unite and just join together and push the evil away. I thought this movie was fantastic. This is definitely one of my favorite Mark Wahlberg performances. He was so good and he was so relatable. He I know he wasn't playing a real police officer, but he felt like a real police officer. I'm related to two NYPD officers, so I know, sort of, police officers, how they are, and, with stuff like this, and just, he really felt like a real officer, and John Goodman was great as the commissioner. Kevin Bacon's in this movie. He's the FBI, leader, and it's so good, and it doesn't cut around anything. It shows some of the horror that happened on that, but what it also shows is the police officers that ran straight into it, and just, and that's what I loved about this movie. Was it could have been a movie that just focused on the bombers and the bombing and it could have been a movie that just focused on that, but it didn't. It chose to focus on the good and the people who tried to help and did everything they possibly could. And yes, it did show the people who I will never give names to who did the bombings. But it doesn't, it's not their story. It's the story of Boston. It's the story of how the city was in one way really harmed, but in another way was healed because of all the people who came together in that time of crisis. The ending of this movie, I just was, oh my god, my heart was pounding, and I watched this actually unfold on TV. I knew what happens at the end of this movie, but that's where I think good filmmaking comes from, is when you know how the story ends if it's based on true events, but at that moment, in that time watching the movie, it doesn't matter because it's just so good. And this movie, Peter Berg, I love Deepwater Horizon, but this is my favorite Peter Berg movie. This is probably number 2 for Mark Wahlberg. The Fighter still holds a place for me, but overall this movie is amazing. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. I'm going to give this movie an A. Alright? This movie is just one of those things that shows me why I love movies. Alright? If you guys like this video, please click like, leave a comment below, and subscribe to see more of my movie reviews.